are not.
Monday. Got through another Monday, didn't we? I've already explained 1,000 times. For me, I have no Monday, no Friday, no Wednesdays. I do the same thing every day. But for the regular working man, congratulations. You made it through Monday. And the ACC is showing some signs of incompetence as far as the commissioner, Jim Phillips. Some of the stuff that he's told the media, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Especially in the era of conference realignment. I don't understand the ACC. I really don't. Real quick, Joey, can you put the link to join StreamYard in the comments? I of course forgot to do that. And today is Tuesday, so that means you can actually join Golden Bluted here on StreamYard. We will ask you to show your face briefly in the background before we put you on, because there's a lot of weird people out there that have been trying to they're literally going around trying to get YouTube channels shut down. So we have to protect ourselves and make sure that doesn't happen. So feel free to join us, but it's okay if you don't want to be on camera. You can turn your camera off once we put you on the screen. But before we put you on the screen, we will have to verify that you're, a normal person, not trying to ruin this channel, because this has taken 3 years of hard work. 3 years. We celebrated 3 years back in August. We are over 11,000 subscribers. And, I know a lot of people think, oh, it's YouTube. All you do is talk college football. I'm telling you, this has taken a lot of hard work. You can talk to Joey. He's been a part of the channel for about 2 years now, I think, right around 2 years, something like that. He's been working hard. It takes hard work to get where we're at. It really does. So we don't want that to get flushed down the drain because of one moron. And that's exactly what could happen if we're not on our toes. So I'm going to bring on Joey real quick. And then whoever wants to join, the StreamYard link's at the top as well. How'd your weekend go? It was a nice weekend for me because, number one, West Virginia won on Thursday. So a win is a win. That's awesome. Although I honestly don't think we should have won that football game. I really don't. I don't. That's just me. But we won it, and then we didn't have to stress on college football Saturday either. So I had a great weekend. What about you?
Yeah, I had a good weekend. I had a great Thursday night when we won that game. But I'm like you. The better team didn't win that game. That's for sure. Baylor is a much better team. But I was happy with the win. The win's a win. Then Saturday, I didn't do too well on my picks this week. I mean, I was horrible. Really bad. I picked Penn State to upset Michigan, which didn't happen. So I mean, and that was just horrible all the way around. I just didn't have a good weekend at all on picks. But other than that, man, I had a great time and stuff. And so, I want to tell everybody, because we don't have too many in here right now. I might wait for a little while till people get in here. We'll try some new stuff as far as like notifying people, because this notification thing, YouTube's not working.
Hold on, you keep going. I'm going to mute myself real quick. Go ahead.
Okay. So I would like to know in the chat, did any of you guys get to watch any of the games this past weekend? What was your favorite game? What game did you like the most? And did any game surprise you? Was anybody like me and thought Penn State would upset Michigan? I mean, I did. I didn't think Michigan had played real well up until that point. I thought Penn State had played pretty good. How about Tennessee and Alabama? How many of you picked that game? That was a great game there. That was probably the best game of the weekend by far. And poor Alabama fans, they think that the world's ending. Guarantee you the world's not ending. It's fine. Alabama will be fine. And the great thing about it was that was SEC West versus SEC East. So whoever lost that game was still in the driver's seat to win their division. So, Alabama's still in the driver's seat in the West. They'll probably play Tennessee again in the SEC championship. You don't beat Nick Saban twice. So, that's how that works. So, let's see. Anybody? Yeah, the Michigan smackdown Penn State. Yeah, they did, didn't they, Johnson? I liked that game, but just wasn't how I seen it going, though. Yeah, I knew Michigan had a good team, too. I really did. I knew Michigan had a good team. I didn't think that – I thought Penn State had played better from what I had seen up until that point, so I just figured if Penn State would win. I didn't think they was going to blow them out of water by any means, but I figured they would win. And it was the other way around. I mean, they got blown out of the water. Michigan played an awesome game. But but I was really happy with a lot of the games. There was some really – this whole season has been instant classics every weekend. There's been an instant classic every single weekend. It's a crazy
Well, you know what's helping this season? There is no team that's absolutely demolishing everybody. And you can go back to 2018. We've had one team that we pretty much knew who was going to win the national championship. Maybe they slip up one game, but that was it. They blow out everybody else. 2018 was Clemson. 2019 was LSU. 2020 was Alabama. And then last year was Georgia. This year, we don't have that team. And it's made it better.
No. It has.
I thought it was going to be Alabama. I really did, because their offense, all their offense was coming back, and they gained Jermaine Burton. And their defense was supposedly supposed to be much better this year. So I thought Alabama was going to be that dominating team.
Yeah, I actually had Tennessee finishing fourth in the East. I had Georgia, Kentucky. No, I had third in the East, because I had Georgia, Kentucky, and then Tennessee. I had them finishing third in the East, and here they are, front seat drivers in the East. So and that's great. I think it's good for college football when some of the programs are coming back and getting back to their prominence that they once were. Now, I wish West Virginia could get back to where they were in the early 2000s, but time will tell.
The only team that I was completely wrong off in the SEC East was South Carolina. I thought that they went out and got enough pieces in the transfer portal to where they could contend for that number 2 spot in the SEC East. But I had Tennessee at 10 wins. Georgia's still winning the East, but I definitely didn't have Tennessee beating Alabama. No, I did not.
Right.
I can admit that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really figured that Kentucky, like I had said, Kentucky was an upset away of Georgia possibly winning the East this year, and then they seem to be falling apart. So
it's either Tennessee or Georgia now. Kentucky has no shot. South Carolina has no shot. That's it. And then whoever wins that game has a major leg up, because the other team, their only hope of getting to the championship game is if the other team loses twice, because now the loser or the winner will have the tiebreaker. So they need the winner to grab 2 losses after that, which I'll be honest with you. If Georgia loses that game, it's actually worse for them, because Tennessee's schedule is actually easier after the Georgia game. If Tennessee loses that game to Georgia on the road, there is a real possibility that Georgia could lose at Mississippi State and at Kentucky. Georgia has shown that they're not a very good road team this year, and they're not that dominating team that they were last year. That would be a huge win for Georgia over Tennessee that have bragging rights. But Georgia really needs to be aware whenever it comes to the road trips to Mississippi State and Kentucky. And if those games were at Georgia, I wouldn't be worried about it, because both Kentucky and Mississippi State are horrible road teams, but they're excellent home teams.
Yeah, and of course we know the Big 12 is just like crazy this year. I mean, TCU's
Texas with 2 losses has a chance to win the Big 12 still.
Yeah, they do, and it's crazy. Then, well, if you look at it, I guess everybody with 2 losses in the Big 12 still has a chance to win the Big 12, and that's everybody except for TCU.
Yep.
And Oklahoma State, who only has 1. But, I mean,
TCU and Oklahoma State are still in the driver's seat, but it's just so stacked that they're not guaranteed anything right now. They haven't blown everybody out either.
Right. And now this game this week between West Virginia and Texas Tech, that's going to separate it a little bit more. So whoever loses that game is completely out of the picture. They're not going to have a chance. But,
and the biggest problem that I have with that is not just West Virginia, but you look at all the Big 12 teams. usually the team that goes on the road hasn't fared so well at all. There's been a few anomalies like Kansas at West Virginia and Kansas State at Oklahoma. But for the most part, the home team that won in this week, the next week they go on the road and they lose. So that's I don't like Lubbock. I know we have a decent record there, but for the most part, even when we had the much better team, even that one year, it took a game-winning field goal, even though our team was much better than Texas Tech, and we had a massive lead, but we allowed Texas Tech to come back, and it took a Josh Lambert, 55-yard game-winning field goal to win that game. I don't like playing in Lubbock. I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I really don't. But I don't like playing Texas Tech, period. Not here lately. They seem to have our number.
They have our number.
And so, I don't like.
Somebody asked earlier in the chat how many helmets we have now. We are up to, I think, 45 was the last count. Hold on. Now that I think about it, I'm second guessing myself. So I'm going to have to count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Maybe 44, but still in the 40s, not counting the regular size helmet. That doesn't count. Many helmets were at
Paul, I haven't heard. Paul, I haven't heard. Have you heard anything about Donaldson if he's going to play this week?
I think I remember hearing that he's out for one more week, but I can't confirm that. I can't confirm that. I think the label that they're using is doubtful or questionable.
Yeah,
he's not out.
I'd like for Donaldson to play, but we've got 3 great running backs. We didn't miss Donaldson at all the other day because Mathis just picked up right where Donaldson left off and ran with it. And to be honest with you, I don't know if Donaldson could have had that good of a game against Baylor.
Right.
So I was pretty happy with it.
Everybody in the comments section or watching, make sure to hit the like button. For whatever reason, YouTube isn't notifying people or suggesting like they should. So we're going to have to put it upon ourselves to do this. Best way to get YouTube's attention, hey, we're here, we're live, is hitting the like button. Keep the comments coming. And that literally forces YouTube to start suggesting. And that's how you grow your audience. So we would greatly appreciate if y'all did that. And of course, if you have a question for me or Joey or comments, or you want to brag about your team or trash another team, or you want to trash talk me, troll me, whatever. Best way to get our attention is a super chat button. It's that little $sign that you see on the bottom right-hand corner surrounded with the heart. Anything you put into that super chat, we will throw on the screen as long as it's YouTube appropriate and it supports the channel. Donations like that, and of course the regular videos every day getting views, that's what helps these channels to keep going, because this is what I do full time. So it's stuff like that helps us keep going, and we always appreciate y'all's support. Y'all are an awesome audience. So are you still a little befuddled about the title of this live show?
Yeah,
do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, is the ACC doomed? If they focus on just basketball, like you're saying, I think they would be doomed. Because.
But do you know what I'm talking about as far as why I'm saying that they're focused on basketball and not football?
No, I'm not. I really don't. What is going on with that?
Okay, well, so I don't know. I think this was through. Hold on, let me look up the source real quick. I don't want to misquote the source. Give me 1 second, guys. Probably should have had this up when I mentioned it, but you know me. I never have things ready ever.
I will tell them about. I put something in the chat.
This is actually ESPN.com, so it should be available to pretty much anybody. So this was reported by ESPN.com. All right, so basically, Jim Phillips was talking about playoff expansion and how all the commissioners, all 10 commissioners, and then, of course, the Notre Dame athletic director, because Notre Dame's not part of a conference, so they have to include Notre Dame. They are all in favor of expanding the playoffs 2024. Right now, it's looking like 2026, but they're all putting pressure on the playoff committee and the NCAA, whoever's involved. We need playoff expansion in 2024. That in and of itself, that's fine. No problem. I think everybody wants that. But then he kind of steered the conversation into a different direction. He said, speaking of course, somebody tries to call me in the middle of a live show. Speaking of playoff expansion or expanding things, he thinks that the big dance, the NCAA tournament, should be expanded, going from what's it now, 68 teams to 96 teams.
No.
Jim Phillips wants there to be 96 teams in the big dance. And what he wants is he wants all 32 conference champions, the ones that win the conference tournaments at the end of every year, every single one of those, which there's 32 in all, to have a bye week. And then 64 at large play each other in the first round. So all the conference champions don't even play in the first round. They get a bye, and then you get 64 at large bids. That's an extra, 28 spots, 28 teams? That's crazy.
Right, but when they say conference
to go
champion,
beyond that, go ahead, Joey.
When you say conference champion, do they mean the people that are in the like let's say Baylor wins the Big 12, and they beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, but Oklahoma actually won the Big 12 because they had more wins. Which one gets the automatic? Are they talking about the championship game?
The tournaments. The tournaments.
I know that, but I'm talking about. So Baylor and Oklahoma will both be in the tournament, obviously. But let's say Oklahoma wins the Big 12 because of they obviously have more wins than Baylor in the Big 12. But Baylor wins the championship, the tournament.
Yeah, it's the tournament because it's like it is now. Whoever wins the tournament gets an automatic bid. So that stands as is, but he wants to take it a step further. The winners of the conference tournaments get a bye week, not just an automatic bid. They also get a bye week. And then, of course, the at-larges play each other in the 64. Winners go on to play all the tournament champions. That's a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah.
But, that in of itself is not good. Kind of seems like he's focusing on other stuff. He went on to say that he believes that the basketball national championship is the crown jewel national championship of college sports. Crown jewel.
I mean, it's
meaning he thinks
there.
that it is a bigger championship than the college football national championship. That's a problem.
Well, you got to look at the ACC and who all they have.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's the problem with them. They're focusing on basketball, not football. Like he's literally admitting, we'd rather be known as a good basketball conference than a good football conference. Well, what that does is that makes you continue to focus on basketball, and your football brands suffer, and your TV deal suffers, and people want to bounce. That's a big problem for the ACC. Big problem.
Breaking news: the Yankees have beat the Guardians 5-1 and advanced to the ALCS versus the Astros.
Hey, did Mad T Sipper show his face yet? I haven't been paying attention.
No, I don't think
so. Mad T Sipper, if you would just show us your face real quick, and then we can put you on real quick. David Z, thank you for the $5 donation. Says not trolling. So he's giving us the FYI. He is not trolling. Honest question. What was up with the crowd for the Baylor game in Morgantown? Primetime game on Thursday. With all eyes, bad luck. I agree with that. 45,000 were in Morgantown for the Baylor game. And, I mean, the ending, of course, was awesome. You had, 45,000 singing Country Roads. They were being as loud as they could. But, for a camera perspective, seeing that many empty seats on ESPN, that's not a good look for West Virginia. Now, as far as the reason for that, well, it's simple. I do think that West Virginia fans are pretty much done with Neil Brown. In fact, remember what Q said he's heard from several season ticket holders that if they keep Neil Brown, they're going to stop going to the games. And he heard that it could be around 10,000 missing per game. That was about 15,000. And it's not just because of one game. It's going to be a continuous effect. So West Virginia, it's even worse. Not 10,000, 15,000. You miss 15,000 fans a game. How many games do we have left? Like 4. That's a lot of money that we're losing.
Well, you look at 45,000. There was 45,293. I just looked it up. That is 75%. That means 25% of the people stayed home. But now I think there's other things to take into consideration. West Virginia is a big state. It takes 4 hours to drive from southern part of West Virginia to Morgantown. And if you got to work the next morning and you're going to a night game, you drive all the way up there. You can't get all the way back down. It's really hard. If you don't have the money to stay overnight up there and get up early and drive it down the next morning and go to work, it's really tough. So, West Virginia is a lot bigger state than people think when you're driving from the south to the north. And you get into all the traffic and everything.
And it has mountains too.
Right, in the mountains. That's the problem. It's mountains.
Right.
It's not like driving in Kansas where you're on flat land and you're just going straight through.
You can go 100 around mountains and you're fine. Yeah.
Right.
That's why a country mile is considered to be longer than a city mile because, it's not straight. It's very, very curvy. And, of course, the traffic, too, because a lot of people don't realize in Morgantown you have 3 interstates coming together, and the parking's horrendous. And that's why, even though I was surprised with the rumors about West Virginia building a new stadium at a different spot, that does surprise me because we have a beautiful stadium now. Why can't we just expand? But to their credit, the location is pretty bad. If they can go on the other side where, not everything is meeting and plus there's more parking, that's probably a good idea. You might actually have better attendance.
Yeah, plus the fact that, number 2 thing is that it was a Thursday night game and the hospital's right there. There couldn't be no tailgating because of the hospital. It was visitation time and everything else at that time. So they couldn't. They had to keep that parking lot closed until 2 hours before the game, so you couldn't tailgate. And so that kind of held a lot of people back too. So
let me ask you this. So this game has been on the schedule since the schedule was released. Why couldn't there have been something worked around that?
I don't know. That's what I can't figure out. They got to figure something out up there.
And what time was game time? 7 p.m., right?
7, yeah. 7:30.
So why couldn't they say, well, because of the game, let people know well in advance, not like a day before. We got a game, so sorry, we're gonna have to move things around. No, when you see that schedule, all right, this is a Thursday night game. We need to notify everybody that things are going to be a little bit different on this day because of game day. And I'm not saying you put football above people's lives. I'm just saying, they knew in advance, so they could have came up with some type of plan besides shutting down tailgating up until 2 hours before the game.
They could have turned the game down. They could have turned it down and said, no, we're going to play on Saturday. We can't play on Thursday. We got a hospital right here. We can't do that. They could have done that. And if you think about it, if 25% of the people weren't there, we didn't sell 15,000 tickets. 15,000 tickets times $75 a ticket. You figure out how much money they lost. They wouldn't have lost no more money if they'd have moved it to Saturday night and had a packed house.
Yep. Oh, they wouldn't have lost any money.
Right.
It probably would have been a packed house, like you said.
Yeah, it was a bad decision to do that on Thursday night in Morgantown.
I'm noticing that we have a lot more Kansas fans now because Kansas is actually relevant this year. I actually did want to talk about them for a little while because they have a big problem over there. Number 1, their starting quarterback is out, and then number 2, they lost one of their starting cornerbacks before the end of the first half against Oklahoma. And if you watch Kansas with Daniels and without Daniels, that offense is still good, but it's not dangerous good without him. So, they start off the season 5-0. Now they have 2 straight losses. I have Kansas making a ball for sure, probably 7-5. But do you think Kansas would be a 10-win team if Daniels hadn't gotten injured? Because the Kansas that I saw at the beginning of the season against, West Virginia, who else did they beat that was impressive? I can't. Who was it?
Well, they beat Houston. They beat Houston on the road.
There you go. That was the other one that really caught my eyes. Yes, and it was against teams that had really good offenses. So Kansas proved that they can score a lot of points. Their defense isn't that great. Their defense does give up a lot of points, but they have an offense that can pretty much keep up with anybody. And even without Daniels, it was okay, but it's definitely not as dangerous as what it was. So if he's now, was this a season-ending injury? I can't remember.
I heard it was, but then I heard it was not. So I don't know. I heard he might come back.
I don't think it is.
2 games or something.
Right.
Like
I don't think it is.
But
and I gotta see.
Their schedule's not lining up real nice for them. I mean, because they got to go on the road to Baylor. They get Oklahoma State at home, but I mean, Oklahoma State's really, really good. So it's going to be a tough game. They go on the road to Texas Tech. They get Texas at home, and Texas is looking like, a team that's unbeatable right now. And then they play Kansas State at Kansas State, which that really doesn't matter because there'll be as many Kansas fans as Kansas State fans there.
I just looked at the other schedule. That is a tough schedule, man.
It's tough.
They have 2 home games left. Just 2 home games left, and that's Oklahoma State and Texas. And their 3 road trips are Baylor, Texas Tech, and Kansas State. That's rough.
That's rough. That's really rough.
I consider their season already a success because I didn't think that they would get to 5 wins.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking 3 or 4, get out of the basement type of thing. So they've already exceeded my expectations. But if they can get 1 more win, then that would give them, a bowl bid. But where's it going to be at? At Baylor? That's a tough road environment. I know Baylor just lost on the road, but I mean, their starting quarterback got knocked out. I don't know if he's going to be now. See, there's another thing. I don't know if he's going to be back for the Kansas game. Who knows? He's got to go through concussion protocol. If Shapen's not good to go, then there might, that might be your win right there. But then after that, Oklahoma State at home. Yes, it's at home, but Oklahoma State don't care if they play you on the moon, at home, on the road, whatever. They're a good enough team to where they can beat you anywhere. And I think Oklahoma State is a better team than TCU, and TCU beat Kansas at Kansas. After that, at Texas Tech, that's probably winnable, but Donovan Smith looks like a really, really good quarterback for Texas Tech. You get Texas at home. Depends on which Texas team you get, and then at Kansas State. Yeah. So there is no more gimme games for Kansas, but there are some winnable games. I think they get to the bowl for sure. In the Big 12.
There's no gimme games in the Big 12 for absolutely anybody this year. Nobody. From top to bottom, the conference is so paired equally. It's really, anybody can beat anybody any Saturday in the Big 12. There's no
West Virginia might be the worst team in the Big 12 when we just beat Baylor.
Yeah, exactly. Just beat Baylor, and we may be the worst team in the Big 12. So, yeah, I think, find another win for Kansas is going to be tough. I don't think they're going to win on the road at Baylor. I don't see that. I don't think they're going to beat Oklahoma State. I think they will beat Texas Tech. I will give them that one. Even though it's on the road at Texas Tech, I'll give Kansas a win there. And that'll give them 6 wins in a bowl. And then I think they'll lose to Texas. And then the rivalry game, flip a coin between Kansas and Kansas State at this point. Flip a coin.
So I think the 2 teams that are in danger most of missing a bowl would be West Virginia and Texas Tech. Right now, they're both at 3-3. We'll get to West Virginia here in a minute. But for Texas Tech, their remaining schedule, of course, their next game, they get West Virginia at home. Then they get Baylor at home. That could be back-to-back wins right there. But then at TCU, that's not a win. Kansas at home, that's winnable. At Iowa State, probably a loss. And then Oklahoma at home. I do think there's 3 or 4 wins left on their schedule. So I think Texas Tech gets to a bowl. All right, so we eliminate them. Let's go to West Virginia's real quick. All right, so we're at 3-3 as well. We get a road trip to Texas Tech. That's a tough road trip. Not even going to lie about that. But then after that, we get TCU at home. And I know TCU is a good team, but I think in Morgantown, that's a winnable game. I really do. At Iowa State, usually that's a tough road trip, but Iowa State's not that great. I know they played Texas tough, but they always do. Oklahoma at home, I think that's a win. I think West Virginia beats Oklahoma for the first time in the Big 12 now. Kansas State at home, that's a winnable game. So West Virginia can limp into a bowl at 6-6. Who in the Big 12 is going to miss a bowl?
Yeah, that's just it. It's going to be it. I don't know. It's really a strong conference this year. What do you say, Will?
Yeah, the three teams that I say have the biggest chance of missing a bowl are West Virginia, Texas Tech, and then Oklahoma. That was a big win for Oklahoma against Kansas at home. That pushes them to 4-3 instead of 3-4. Their remaining games at Iowa State, that's tough, but it's winnable. They get Baylor at home, at West Virginia, Oklahoma State at home, and then at Texas Tech. Oklahoma might be the team in the Big 12 that misses a bowl because, let's see, 1, 2, 3. They get 3 more road trips and 2 more home trips. Yeah, so they need to win the rest of their home games. Problem is, both of those home games, Baylor can definitely beat Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma State can definitely beat Oklahoma. So if they can't hold the fort at home, Oklahoma could miss a bowl. I think they're in the biggest danger. Even though they're 4-3, they're over 500. Big win against Kansas, but Kansas did have their starting quarterback out. I think Oklahoma is. I'm not saying they're missing a bowl. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think they're in danger of being the team to miss a bowl for the Big 12.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about this weekend? Is there a chance Kansas State can go on the road and upset TCU? Kansas State's not a bad team. They've got 1 loss.
It depends. Hold on. I want to see who TCU has after that. Because that, believe it or not, that plays a lot into some of my predictions because sometimes teams look ahead. So, all right, their next game is Kansas State. After that, at West Virginia. Honestly, don't think TCU's looking past Kansas State onto West Virginia. If anything, they're probably more focused on Kansas State rather than West Virginia. So, I mean, there's always a chance of an upset. I just don't like it. If somebody's going to upset TCU at home, I think it's Texas Tech after the West Virginia game. I really do. I think that it is Texas Tech after the West Virginia game. That would be my vote.
The way Kansas State looked last time out, and they played Iowa State, and it was 10-9. I mean, that looked
and
like
they
a baseball
lost
score.
I know Tulane's a good team, but you can't lose to Tulane at home. You can't.
Right. So I don't see a chance of them really upsetting TCU, but they are a good team. They could give them a scare the first half, maybe.
Sergeant Pickle says, exciting, but Big 12 parity, bad for CFP, just ask Pac. It's not bad for CFP. It's bad for the Big 12. Parity is always good for college football playoffs in general, but it's bad for the conference that has the parity because they knock each other out. So the Big 12 actually needs TCU to basically be unbeatable because Oklahoma State and TCU winner needs to win out. I was thinking Oklahoma State was going to do it. I actually wanted Oklahoma State to do it because I think Oklahoma State is the better team. But the problem is they were up 30-16, and then Mike Gundy starts calling safe play calls. And 9 times out of 10, I've seen it time and time again, a team gets a significant lead, and then the coach starts calling safe plays, and they end up losing. I mean, Dana Holgorsen used to do that at West Virginia all the time. All the time. Drove me crazy. Keep doing what got you to where you're at. Don't start playing not to lose because you're going to end up losing when you start playing like that. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it.
As we look through the Big 12 schedules, so I'm looking at Kansas State schedule right now. The back end of every Big 12 school schedule is tough.
Brutal.
I mean, every single week is tough. Kansas State playing TCU at TCU this week. Then they get Oklahoma State at home. Then they get Texas at home. Then they go on the road to Baylor, on the road to West Virginia, and then they play Kansas at home. So, I mean,
What
that's
if
a tough
this
schedule.
happens? What if Kansas State runs the table and they finish one loss and they win the Big 12 championship, but their one loss is to Tulane? Can they get into the playoffs? I don't think they will.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think the
That's
playoff
just a
committee
bad
will
loss.
hold that Tulane loss, and I know Tulane is now ranked, but they're a Group of 5 team. It was a home game, whatever. I just think that one loss to Tulane is automatically a deal breaker as far as Kansas State getting in, unless other things happen, like a 2-loss Pac-12 champ, a 2-loss ACC champ, stuff like that. If that were to happen, then yes. But without help, a 1-loss Kansas State, because of who they lost to, now they did it at the time of the year where you want to lose. If you're going to lose, you want to lose at the beginning of the year. So the timing's fine, but still, they lost to Tulane. Even though Tulane, they themselves, they only have one loss, they're ranked, that's still not a good look for a Power 5 champion.
And plus, I don't know if Kansas State is ranked high enough right now to where there'd be enough teams losing ahead of them every week to where they could move up.
Well, that's where I would disagree with you, because if you go back and look at Michigan from last year, Kansas State's kind of in the same position as Michigan was as far as being ranked. I wouldn't worry about that part. It's just the fact of they would need the other conference champions to grab 2 losses for them to get the nod over any other conference champion.
There's Will back.
And then there's inconsistent Notre Dame.
I don't know what's going on with my laptop.
But Notre Dame beats BYU, and then they come back and they lose to the tree. I don't get it.
I think – oh, no. I know that Marcus Freeman's really good at having to get guys up for a big game. But, for the smaller games, that's what he's going to have to work on, keeping them motivated for the smaller games.
Well, I mean, 2 of your losses, Marshall and Stanford, and both of them were home games, right?
Yeah.
My gosh.
I think we need a new play caller on offense for sure, man. I mean, Tommy Reese's play calling, it's like Dana Holger's bad, man.
Well, and, okay, even North Carolina, Notre Dame beat North Carolina, and that's North Carolina's only loss. And y'all beat a ranked BYU, what was it, in Vegas?
Yeah. I mean, it was
but
not.
You can't
it was
beat Stanford or Marshall at home. I am so confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the play calling. We need more tempo on our play calling. That's the first thing I would change with our play calling is we're slow, lethargical, and we just can't move the ball at anyone. We really need to get we need to get some tempo because that's what works.
When do y'all play USC? When do y'all play
last
USC?
Week. Always last week of the season when it's in LA.
Okay.
I'm now keeping my eyes on that Clemson at Notre Dame game. I really am. I think Notre Dame is capable of upsetting Clemson. Clemson hasn't looked unbeatable, not by any stretch. I mean, they had to go into overtime, 2 overtimes to beat Wake Forest. And then even against Florida State, they did have a significant lead, but then they allowed Florida State to come back and make it a close game. And, of course, Notre Dame has proven that for the big-time opponents, they can actually win those games. It's those little rinky-dink opponents that they can't beat. Yeah. So if I was a Clemson fan, I would be very, very nervous about that trip to South Bend. That could very well be a loss for Clemson.
Mm-hmm. And it's a night game, so South Bend's going to be rocking like it has been since probably 2017 USC.
Right. Exactly right. So even that road trip to USC at the end of the year, that's probably a winnable game as well because it's a big time opponent. Hey, we get up for all of our big time opponents, but all these throwaways, who cares? We'll sleep a little bit.
I'm nervous about this UNLV game this week. GBD UNLV.
I would be too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering.
I mean, if Marshall beat you, then why not, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
I'm wondering about something. I'm looking at. I decided to click on Syracuse's schedule because Syracuse is 6-0. The
Oh
back end of
man.
their schedule is
Oh
brutal
dude.
as well. I mean, it's brutal. At
They
Clemson,
could still
then they got
finish
Notre
7-5.
Dame.
Starting off 6-0, they could
Yeah,
finish 7-5. I'm telling you right now.
yeah, they could. They literally could. I mean, they have a brutal back end of their schedule. Starting this week at Clemson. I would love to be able to say Syracuse could upset Clemson. Not going to happen.
I think
But
they'll play
it
them
would be
tough though,
interesting. But
because
Syracuse has
Syracuse
had
does always play
they
Clemson
always
tough,
do.
and they've
Mhm.
upset them a couple times. So I'm not going to say it's impossible. I still think Clemson wins, but I do think Syracuse isn't scared of Clemson, and I think it's going to be a close game.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't mean to change the subject.
Sure.
I just was on that, and I was looking at that schedule, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that they're
Yeah,
in
because
trouble."
their next game is at Clemson, Notre Dame. They do get Notre Dame in the dome, at Pitt, Florida State in the dome, at Wake Forest. The only throwaway game would be maybe at Boston College. And that's why I think 7-5, because I think that last game that's probably a pretty easy win. But I mean, they could pick up 5 straight losses at Clemson, Notre Dame, at Pitt, Florida State, at Wake Forest. That could be 5 losses in a row. Seriously.
I think they'll win either one of Florida State or Pitt, maybe both. I'll give them one of those at least. But,
So they
yeah.
can. I would split between Notre Dame and Florida State because they're both home games. Syracuse plays much better in the dome. Which one I couldn't tell you. So 8-4 is probably how they're going to finish, but it wouldn't surprise me if they reeled off 5 straight losses after starting 6-0. That would be very demoralizing.
But still, I mean, they thought they were going to go 3-9 this year, so
That's true.
I mean, they kind
That's
of be
true.
a little happy.
Yeah, I thought they would be something like 6-6. I had Syracuse going to a bowl because I liked the front end of their schedule, and I didn't have them going 6-0 in the front end of their schedule, but I liked how it's set up. And if you look at the way that they've won these games, yes, they blew out NC State, but NC State lost their starting quarterback, and it looks like there's a massive drop-off from QB1 to QB2. NC State's in trouble, guys. NC State's in a lot of trouble. They have good defense.
Do you think NC State will beat Virginia Tech this week?
Where's it played at?
At NC State.
Oh, yeah. Virginia Tech's bad. They're real bad. Real bad. This game, I'm telling you, NC State Virginia Tech is going to be a sloppy game. I think the final score is going to be something like 14-10, something like that, because Virginia Tech's offense is just terrible. But they do have a decent defense. Same with NC State, good defense. And even before they lost Devin Leary, their offense wasn't good. Now that they lost Devin Leary, it's downright bad. So NC State with a home win over Virginia Tech, 14-10. That is my score prediction for NC State, Virginia Tech.
So I'm looking at Syracuse's injury report. They have 6 players out for the season. 6 injuries out for the season. And they have 1, 2, 3 that are questionable and undisclosed. So, I mean, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 injuries. And most of them are on defense. Yeah, defensive lineman, defensive back, a linebacker, another defensive back. They have 2 quarterbacks out, 2 wide receivers, but one of them may be coming back this weekend. Trevor Pina, a wide receiver, may be coming back. Yeah. So, with that injury report, it's not looking good for Syracuse right now.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Will joined because of what I talked about earlier and the title of the live show.
Mm-hmm.
What did you kind of have? I'm trying to get the perspective of everybody because to me it kind of surprised me a little bit whenever I heard about Jim Phillips wanting the NCAA basketball tournament expanded from 68 teams to 96 teams, and then on top of that, calling the basketball championship the crown jewel of all college championships. To me, that could be like the doom of the ACC. As a Notre Dame fan, how are you reading into it the same way as I'm reading into it?
I mean, it's not a good look for the ACC. I'll just say that it's not a good look. I don't know what he's thinking by saying that. I'm like, do you want your conference to go away? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm fine with. I mean, I guess I'm okay with it as a Notre Dame fan, but because like, hey, that'll help our basketball team, and we're still independent football. But I don't know, man. Like, I'm in Virginia. Like, I grew up in Northern Virginia, so I grew up in ACC country because I grew up when Maryland was in the ACC, Virginia Tech was in the ACC, UVA was in the ACC, and I don't know. It'll be sad for the ACC to go, but
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah.
I think for Notre Dame, it's not good. Well, I think for the I think for the ACC, it's not good because, okay, let's be real. The ACC wants Notre Dame to join the ACC as a full-time football member. So when you come out and say stuff like, hey, we want the NCAA tournament expanded, and we consider the basketball championship the crown jewel of all college championships, like, to me, if I was a Notre Dame fan, I'd be like, well, what about football? Like, you want us to join as a full-time football member, and yet you think basketball is number one? To me, that would almost be like, no thanks. Now we see what you're really thinking about. And it kind of makes sense seeing how the ACC has kind of evolved over the past 10 to 15 years. They are more of a basketball league now. But to come out and actually say it, I mean, that just made me think, what is it? Why did you say that, Jim Phillips? Like, that's stupid. Like, even if you do think that, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Because guess what? Next conference realignment comes around, all your football schools that make you money are like, we're out. We know what you're really about. You want basketball. We're not about that. We're going to a league that wants football, and that's going to make us money.
I think this could really unite the schools because doesn't it have to be like 50% have to sign or?
I think 60. I think 8 out of well, I think Notre Dame counts as a vote too. So 8 out of 15, right at 50%, maybe 55%, something like that.
So Miami, Clemson, Florida State, Virginia Tech. Well, Virginia Tech does have a good basketball program right now, but they're definitely a football program.
Right.
I say.
Well, I'll do it like this. All the brands that do make a lot of money in football, okay? So Florida State's big-time football moneymaker. Clemson, now, they used to not be, but now they definitely are. I would say NC State. I would say Virginia Tech. Notre Dame, definitely. Miami, I know they're, down right now, but still their main focus is football. Did I already say Louisville?
No, you don't.
Louisville. Let's see here. Probably Pitt. I mean, they're horrendous in basketball now, and they're having a revival when it comes to football. So I think they would vote football. Let's see here. Basketball schools. Let's go this route. Syracuse, probably basketball school. North Carolina, still a basketball school, although they do make some money in football. Duke, basketball school.
Wake Forest won't vote against it.
That's 4, for sure. Maybe Boston College will vote against it.
Maybe, yeah.
That's 5. I think I think this would be an overwhelming majority if it goes this direction. It's not good.
Jim Phillips,
they say that they say recruits don't pay attention to that stuff, but there's going to be a few recruits that do pay attention to that talk, and he's saying that and stuff like that, and them thinking, well, are they going to be relevant in football if we're going to put all their energy into basketball? So they could hurt them in recruiting a little bit, probably not much.
I'm of the mindset where maybe not. To me, I'm more focused on the teams that might be on the fence about where they stand with the ACC, and that might be the tipping point of like, oh, okay, well, he's more about basketball. Time to jump. Like that, to me, that raises red flags. So if you're one of the schools that were on the fence, you see these major red flags like that, you're okay, yeah, I'm jumping off the fence and getting out of here.
And the ACC is even the best basketball conference. The Big 12 is.
Not anymore. You're right. Yeah. That's the thing that's baffling.
They've not been for a long time.
And they still act like that they're the best because they have North Carolina and Duke. But that's that's all you have is North Carolina and Duke. Syracuse is up and down. I mean, they barely make the tournament all the time.
Virginia's up and
they
down.
do some damage, but during the regular season, they look like a bad team. So I don't know how they keep making the tournament. But overall, the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the nation. And I'm not saying that, waving the Big 12 flag, yay, I'm proud for that. No, I want the Big 12 to be the best in football. Basketball's second. It really is. It's our fallback sport. And I'm now looking forward to basketball because football is not looking good right now. So it is and I admit that, it is my fallback sport. So I'm not saying, the Big 12 is the best basketball league, pumping my fist and saying, nah, boo-boo, ACC, you suck. No, I'm saying that, it's just facts.
And Justin, we're not underrating the NCAA basketball revenue. The problem is it don't go to the conferences; it goes to the NCAA.
Yes,
so it's not like it makes any money.
It makes money, but it makes money for the NCAA.
Right. It's what keeps your Division III programs going and lower divisions of schools in sports.
Right.
That's what they use the money
Exactly.
for.
Exactly right. And, you expand the NCAA basketball tournament and you're giving more money to the NCAA. And I actually think the NCAA is the problem with college football. So it's almost like you're enabling the problem. You're continuing to give money to the source of the problem.
Yeah.
Almost like a shooting yourself in the foot type of situation. I don't know. That's the best way I can explain it. But it blew me away whenever I read that article. I'll probably do a video on it and go more in depth. But I definitely wanted to mention it in this live show because it could be almost like the writing on the wall for the ACC. Like, we know now that they're headed down a path to where teams are going to start jumping off the ACC. And then you got to look at where teams are going to go. Once the ACC does fall apart, then that's when you start trying to figure out, all right, this team's going to go to the Big 10, SEC, Big 12. And I'm standing firm. I think that the first team, they might not be the biggest brand, but the first team, if the ACC does go under, the first team the Big 12 needs to go after is Pitt and lock in the Backyard Brawl as a conference game. Numero uno.
I agree.
There's a reason why Brett Yormark was at the Backyard Brawl this year. He was there.
Yeah.
Big time moneymaker. They even set a new attendance record in the entire city of Pittsburgh as far as a live event. Almost 70,000 people in Acrisure Stadium.
Yeah, that was crazy.
There was more than that. There was that must have been like scanned tickets or whatever, because you can ask Joey. There was probably 75,000 people there. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I guarantee you there were.
It was absolutely nuts.
That place was yeah, it was nuts.
And I wasn't expecting Pitt to have as great of an entrance as what they had. Pitt has a really good entrance for football. They really do. That thunderstruck and the lights coming out of the tunnel. I'm like, man, what are we doing over here in Morgantown?
It's good. Yeah.
We have got to upgrade our entrance.
It's good, but when there's no one there at Acrisure, like it makes it not look as cool. But
that's true.
Yeah.
That did make it better. But with West Virginia, well, at least for the 3 or 4 first home games, it's pretty much packed out. We have got to up our game when it comes to our entrance. It's the same thing every time the band plays. They form the state. They play a video. Mountaineer fires the musket. On come the Mountaineers, which is okay, I guess. But it's nothing. It's not intimidating, and it doesn't pump the crowd up. You can ask Joey. Whenever it comes to a home game in Morgantown, you could be halfway through the fourth quarter or through the first quarter, and a sellout crowd is probably about 85%. Now, they all eventually do show up, but it's not like actually full till about halfway through the first quarter or start of the second quarter. I think if you bump up the value of the entrance to make it to where it's must see, you don't want to miss the entrance of West Virginia, then you're going to see a sold out crowd at the start whenever they're coming in. Like Enter Sandman, no Virginia Tech, especially when they're playing West Virginia or early in the year when they don't know they suck yet. No Virginia Tech ticket holder that's going to be at that game wants to miss Enter Sandman. If anything, some of them might go just for that, even if they know Virginia Tech sucks. It gets them pumped up. Maybe it gives Virginia Tech a chance to win this game. So, yeah, I think West Virginia needs to bump up the entrance production, make it must-see, and you'll see a packed house from the start, from the entrance, from before the entrance, and then, of course, throughout the game.
Yeah,
That's
because
my 2 cents.
my sister goes to Virginia Tech, and we went to that North Carolina game last year, and man, it was freaking like
It's nuts.
it was nuts. Yeah,
They go nuts up there. They do it right.
Mhm.
There's some other great entrances out there as well. South Carolina has Sandstorm. It's really, really great. I think they did a great job with that as well. So West Virginia.
Penn State as well.
Oh yeah. Penn State has a great one.
Clemson.
Oh, Clemson makes an entire production out of their entrance. I mean, they drive the buses up to the gates. The players get out of the buses. They get behind the fence. It's like they're building layers of suspense on top. Then they open the gate. And they get to the rock, but no, they're not going down yet. Not yet. Hold on, guys. Hold on. And then they fire the cannon, and it's just – there's a reason why they call it the most electrifying 25 seconds in all of college football. They thought that one out. That's a thought-out entrance right there. It really is. It's rehearsed. Like, that's a fact. They rehearse their entrance, which it shows it, the value. All right, man. I'm going to hop out of here.
Okay.
But, as usual, I'm going to give you your last word before we head out of here.
Last word is Notre Dame. Things need to change at Notre Dame with this offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees. I like Tommy Rees as a quarterback. Well, I liked him. Like, I don't know. Like, I rooted for him. He wasn't great. He threw, like, a lot of turnovers, so people called him Turnover Tommy. But, man, I can't take this offense anymore. It's like getting a tooth pulled out without painkiller that first half, man. It was so bad. So
I'll predict Notre Dame beats Clemson and USC and then loses all their other games.
Yeah, that could happen. GVD. That could happen. But excited for this UCLA-Oregon game. That should be a good game.
Oh, man. I wish it was going to be played in UCLA, and it would probably be like 50-50 because UCLA doesn't pack up their stadium, but you'd see a nice split of baby, kind of like a real Rose Bowl, split of baby blue and green. And I want UCLA to go as long as possible undefeated. I don't see them going on the road and beating Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon, they do things right, man. They keep that place loud. So
yeah, they do.
I'm definitely picking the Ducks, but excited for that game and a few others as well. TCU, Kansas State.
Right.
I mean, it's not as strong as this week, but still excited for the games.
I think Clemson and Syracuse is going to be a good one too.
I hope so.
Yeah. I'm actually going to do a pre-recorded in front of the state. I missed my first opportunity whenever NC State came to Death Valley, but fortunately, Syracuse is still undefeated, so I'm not going to pass this one up.
Yeah.
So, all right, buddy. Thanks for stopping by.
Of course. See you later.
Good job. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate everybody that stopped by. Make sure to hit the like button on the way out. Even though we're not live anymore, it still helps get the video suggested and get some more views, and that's what keeps the channel going. Appreciate everybody that's already hit the like button, everybody that's commented, everybody that watched, everybody that super chatted. I'm telling you, every little bit helps this show keep going because this is what we do full time. I ain't worried about being right all the time because everybody's wrong at some point. I'm worried about entertaining talking college football, and hoping I'm entertaining about it. So if you forgot about your stresses and troubles just for a little bit, then I've done my job, and we'd greatly appreciate the like. If you're not a subscriber, make sure to hit the subscribe button. This is all we do every day. College football, every day. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to get out of here, guys. We'll definitely see you again tomorrow, but just like usual, we have no idea when we're going to go live because real life still happens, and I fit these live shows in wherever I can. So y'all have a good Monday night. We'll see you tomorrow. Just don't know what time.